Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Asprooth-Jackson. I am one of the ministers here, and today I am joined by the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, and Stephen Gregorius, and a very special welcome and thank you to our FUS string band. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you are visiting us today, welcome. We are so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian Society, please stop by the welcome table that's located in the Commons just through those doors and to your left. We hope you'll be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after the service, also in the Commons. For those connecting with us virtually today, we are glad that you are with us as well. We hope that you'll be able to take a moment to see the announcement slides shown briefly after today's service to learn about upcoming programs and activities. We want to remind you that the Great Name Tag Project continues. Many thanks to the almost 400 people who have submitted forms for a new name tag. If you haven't yet submitted a form for your new name tag that will include your preferred pronouns, you can do so after the service in the Commons. You'll find more information there on the use of pronouns and why it matters. The welcoming congregation team is beginning to make the name tags now, so please get your form in soon. Now, a word about what's going on in front right here. Right in front of where I'm standing. Entering the auditorium today, you hopefully were offered a piece of paper on which you could write down whatever thought, feeling, or experience you wish to let go of from the year now passing away. If you don't have one, there's still lots of time to pick one up during or after the service. And for those of you at home with something that you would like to let go of as well, you are encouraged to engage in this as well from the comfort of your own living space. Just be sure that if you do decide to dispose of it with fire, that you make sure to have a grown-up involved. Anytime between now and immediately after the service, you are invited to deposit your piece of paper in the jar provided. I'll be taking that jar and a brazier just through that window right there. I won't literally be going through the window, but that's where I'll be going after the service with all of those papers to ceremonially burn away all those things that are needing to be let go of. And while your part in it is completed if you just turn in your piece of paper, you are also welcome to come with me. So I will be going out there after the service, and if you would like to come witness the burning of the papers or participate and assist me in that, you are more than welcome to do so immediately following the service. And now I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community. This is the season of endings and beginnings, when the small signs of dawn pierce through the night and something new is born. But first comes the waiting. First come the lessons of endings and beginnings. The presence of life, the sheltering spirit of love, grieves with those sweeping up the debris of loss, waits with those who restlessly reach out for change, grants us courage in the night to guard each other's dreams for this holy, wondrous universe. Grant us, O universe, unfolding in mystery, a sense of your timing. May we loosen our grip on that which doesn't serve us, leaving behind that which we have outworn and outgrown. Teach us the lessons of beginnings. Remind us that such waitings and endings may be a starting place, a planting of seeds which bring to birth what is ready to be born. Something right and just and different. A new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love in the fullness of time. And now I invite you to rise in all the ways that we do and join me in the words of affirmation for the kindling of our chalice. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. Now, before we join in our opening hymn, we invite you to take a moment to turn to those around you and greet each other with signs of love and peace.
Let's join in singing hymn number 126, Come, Thou Fount of Every Blessing. Come, Thou Fount of every blessing, tune our hearts to sing Thy grace, streams of mercy never ceasing, come
Albert Schweitzer, the physician, humanitarian, theologian, organist, and Unitarian, wrote near the end of his life about a moment of realization that he had had years before. He was traveling on a barge up the Ogooué River in Gabon, in southern West Africa. It was the dry season, and it was slow going between the sandbanks. The doctor spent his hours struggling to find the basis for his personal ethics. What was the grounding of the good for him? He had been puzzling through that same problem for years with no progress, and he had no expectation of a breakthrough at that time and in that place. Yet, he pressed on. It was on the third day at sunset, passing between a herd of hippopotami, lounging in the river's shallow waters, that spiritual inspiration struck him. A phrase flashed into his mind: reverence for life. It described the reason for his devotion to the truth, why he had dedicated his life to helping others. They were the three words which came to be forever associated with his legacy, and they arrived seemingly of their own accord at dusk on a river barge with the heavy, graceful bodies of hippopotamuses all around him. Inspiration does not come at any appointed hour. It is not constrained by custom or propriety, nor is it limited to any particular place or time. Do not go where the path may lead, the Unitarian Ralph Waldo Emerson said. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Our tradition tells us that blessings of the Spirit are always possible and never predictable. But our possibility of finding and appreciating those blessings is greatest when we are open to them. You might leave the trail the first time unprepared for the wild. Get lost, stumble into poison oak, and lose your canteen. Come home thirsty, itchy, and tired. But practice the first step off the beaten path over and over again, and you will learn to know the woods where you live. You will pack enough water. You will wear tall socks and long pants. You will learn to find true north by the stars in the sky, and you will discover the wisdom of traveling with others alongside you. The revelation that will define your life can arrive at any moment, perhaps here and now, perhaps not. So let us take that first step from the path together and begin to make a new trail this morning.
And now let's sing together our hymn number 92, Mysterious Presence, Source of All. Please rise in body and or in spirit.
today is New Year's Eve. An arbitrary marker in time, perhaps. No moment is any more or less new from the standpoint of our planet's orbit around the sun. But at the same time, a potent one. So as we balance precariously on the edge between one year's end and another's beginning, I want to explore with you how to get started on the potentially intimidating project of beginning another year of our lives. In a comic strip from a Sunday many years ago now, Calvin, the impetuous 6-year-old, and his best friend Hobbes, the stuffed tiger, take their toboggan out into the snow-covered woods. It is the first day of a new year, and the white powder blankets the forest. The two survey the scenery in awe. Everything familiar has disappeared, Hobbes says. The world looks brand new. A new year, a fresh, clean start, says Calvin. And Hobbes continues that thought. It's like having a big white sheet of paper to draw on. With or without the fresh fallen snow, and I'm so grateful that today nature is being compliant with my seasonal metaphors. The start of a new year has some of that feel to it. A clean slate, a new beginning. And Hobbes the tiger is far from the first to compare a new year to an unmarked page. The Jewish tradition imagines its new year, which of course came several months ago now, as a new page or chapter in the book of life, the record of all things. That metaphor, in turn, may have been inspired by the mythology of ancient Egypt, where the bird-headed god Thoth, or Jehuti, was thought to keep accounts of the moral measurements of human hearts. And Egyptian civilization is among the oldest to have developed some system of writing. So this idea that a new day or a new year brings a new page to write our lives upon has roots that go back nearly as far as writing itself. Like a painter setting out with an empty canvas, or a sculptor sizing up a block of stone, we often turn towards a new year with great ambitions, or at least the ambition of having great ambitions. This is where the annual ritual of New Year's resolutions comes in. The big plans and bold hopes we set out for ourselves to be accomplished in the year to come. Sometimes this can prove a great opportunity to set yourself on a new trajectory, to develop new hobbies, form new human connections, or learn more about yourself and the world around you. And sometimes they are discarded before the last Christmas trees make it to the curb. My own experience with making resolutions this past year fell somewhere between total success and utter neglect. That third possible outcome from a New Year's resolution, the late in the year scramble. Last January, I set the goal of getting my office here in our building better organized, reshelving all the books that I had plucked down to search for something in, and clearing off all the piles of stuff on my desk. And I even managed to accomplish this much with a few months still to spare. But as anyone who might have seen the inside of my office in December can attest, the room is now in need of another reorganization. A project that I will put on this year's list of resolutions. Some years ago, I came across a picture of the middle fold of an old notebook used by the great folk singer and activist Woody Guthrie. On those 2 pages, he wrote down 33 resolutions for 1943, most accompanied by sketches and doodles. Among these were, number 1, work more and better. Number 11, change socks. Number 19, keep hope machine running. 21, bank all extra money. Followed by 22, save dough. Something worth committing to twice then. 31, love everybody. 33, wake up and fight. The last one is something that Woody surely lived up to. He was notoriously determined and unswerving in his work for the rights of workers and of all people to be free. He certainly woke up and fought in 1943 and every other year of his public life, but his commitment to singing out for justice wasn't a decision just made once and carried through from then on. The words in his notebook hint that he had to recommit again and again. The new year follows the old, but it does not overwrite it. The page is new, but the book is still the same. We are at the beginning of a new beginning, but everything that has already happened has still already happened. When we look back at the past, or when the past looks ahead to us, the connection between both places is always real, but also always imperfect. Like a radio signal near the edge of the broadcast radius, there may be more static or less, but there will always be some. Similar patterns occur again and again. My desk acquires new clutter, for instance. But things also change. This is what makes possible all the fun of trying to predict what's to come in the new year. Another major pastime in this season. Isaac Asimov, the one-time professor of biochemistry and colossus of American science fiction, wrote an article on the occasion of the 1964 World's Fair, predicting what the future would be like in 50 years. If you're doing the math in your head, that would be 2014. So his prediction from 60 years ago is about to be fully 10 years out of date. In it, he described a world of electroluminescent panels, the flat screen displays you find everywhere now, in offices, homes, cars, and carried around in our purses and pockets. He also predicted that we would phone each other not only to hear, but to see, something that is relatively common these days due to all of those electroluminescent screens. The self-driving cars, he anticipated, are still being tested, though, and they do not hover a few feet off of the ground, as he thought they would. The world of enforced leisure, he envisioned, where humanity will suffer badly from the disease of boredom, and the most glorious single word in the vocabulary will have become work. This has not come to be. Automation and technology have made many types of work less necessary, but they haven't made many of us feel less busy or put those of us without work to do at ease. So even a very smart fellow who spent so much of his life dreaming and thinking about the future couldn't get quite everything right. Let us return, though, to the metaphor of that blank piece of paper that the turnover of the calendar has placed before us. It is a great opportunity to write the next act of our lives. The thing about such opportunities is that they bring us face to face with two deep truths contained in each of us. Our own potential to be great, to say what is true, to do what is right, to live with purpose and meaning. And our fear of that potential. The fear that we will fail to live up to it, that things will not unfold as we hope or plan. That you will buy a year's gym membership and never see the inside of it after Groundhog's Day. That you will try for that promotion and end up having to work for the person who got it when you did not. That you will call your sister for the first time in 15 years, and she will hang up on you. Writers are very familiar with this sort of fear, the fear of the empty page. Anything is possible, so all manner of failure is possible as well. This is an attitude that looks at a case such as Isaac Asimov's, that I mentioned earlier, and does not see the many predictions he got right. It sees only the guesses he got wrong. For them, it's called writer's block. It makes a writer afraid to write. Its equivalent makes a person afraid to live. The poet Robert Pack writes about this gnawing feeling in his Echo sonnet, To an Empty Page. How from emptiness can I make a start? And starting, must I master joy or grief? Grief. But it is there consolation in the heart, art. Oh, cold reprieve, where's natural relief? Leaf. Leaf blooms, burns red before delighted eyes, dies. Here beauty makes of dying ecstasy. See? Yet, what's the end of our life's long disease? Ease. If death is not, who is my enemy? Me. Then are you glad that I must end in sleep? A leap? I'd leap into the dark if dark were true. And in that night would you rejoice or weep? Weep. What contradiction makes you take this view? You. I feel your calling leads me where I go. Go. But whether happiness is there, you know. No. So how from emptiness can we make a start? There are a number of wise methods that experienced authors recommend to those struggling with writer's block. So I will offer you 3 with some thoughts on how to apply them to making use of the new beginning we have at this start of this new year. So the first method is to start in the middle. Never mind the introduction or establishing of characters or setting. Jump right into the action. Feel it. Get pulled in by it. and use that momentum. You can always circle back to work on the beginning later. Now, how should that work when you're writing a how that should work when you're writing a story is pretty straightforward, but it can also work as we author the next chapter of our lives. Obviously, there are things we can't skip over, some not forever and some not at all, but the new year can be a time to cut to the chase on the decision of life. In Kurt Vonnegut's novel, Bluebeard, the main character meets Circe Berman, the woman who will become his closest friend and chief antagonist, by greeting her with, "Hello." This is the exchange that follows. "Tell me how your parents died," she said. I couldn't believe my ears. "I beg your pardon?" I said. "What good is hello?" she said. She stopped me in my tracks. "I've always thought it was better than nothing," I said, "but I could be wrong." "What does hello mean?" she said. And I said, "I'd always understood it to mean hello." "Well, it doesn't," she said. "It means don't talk about anything important. It means I'm smiling but not listening, so just go away." She went on to avow that she was tired of just pretending to meet people. "So sit down here," she said, "and tell Mama how your parents died." Rash, socially inappropriate, and more than a little bit bizarre, her gambit is also effective. The two people have a real conversation about something that matters to each of them. They form a real connection, and they are both made better for it. I am not saying that the best way to start a new year is by resolving to ask strangers impertinent questions. Although if that works for you, great. But if you can start in the middle of new experiences and potential relationships by resolving to be less guarded, to skip as many formalities and empty pleasantries as possible by focusing on saying things that are actually meaningfully true for you and inviting others to join you. Now, the next trick is to write as though you are writing to someone you love. If we are writing with our lives on the page this year, then this means doing something that has someone else, someone special in mind. A little more than 10 years ago, a man named Bob Carey gained national attention for his photographic self-portraits taken all over the world, with him wearing nothing but a pink tutu. The Tutu Project began as a one-time amusement which took on a new importance after Bob's wife Linda learned that she had breast cancer. Images of him, a full-bodied, rather hairy, middle-aged man, standing mostly undressed in strange surroundings, save for the pink frills, proved to be one of the few things that could make his wife consistently laugh as she navigated the uncertain waters of her diagnosis and treatment. This photo series has become a fundraiser for Carey's own foundation supporting women fighting the same disease. Linda said of her husband, "It takes a lot for him to put on that tutu. Doing anything crazy takes a lot, and the most courageous things are always at least a little bit crazy. The people we love can often be the place where we get that needed inspiration from. Now, the last trick is usually called free writing. Write about anything. Your breakfast, the color of your socks, even disconnected strings of words, but write. So if you are really having trouble getting started on this year, the suggestion would be to find something small and new that you can do each day, and just do it without worrying if it's useful or productive or good. A friend and colleague of mine once decided that he wanted to make himself paint. He hadn't done it much before, and not for many years, but he was determined to give it a shot. So he cut out a series of little wooden squares, tiny little things, about 3 inches on a side. And he painted them all white. And then each day, he held himself to the discipline of painting something on one of those squares. Sometimes just a line or a few dots. Later, there got to be pictures. He started experimenting with texture and depth. For one of them, he glued a Cupid doll to the board. By the end of his project, he had a whole wall full of little paintings ordered by date in his dining room. Were they good? They were his. They were him, on display in his home, and if nothing else, they had gotten him back into painting. The path before us is ours to determine for ourselves. A daunting task, I well know. But we cannot get there, wherever we might discover there to be, if we are too afraid to venture out and mar the page. There will be stray marks, cross-throughs, and errors of grammar and spelling on the page of this year. Sometimes our lines won't rhyme, or our narrator will prove unreliable. Sometimes the red ink will overwhelm the black. But there is no way to discover our story except to begin it. In that comic, the last Calvin and Hobbes comic, from just about 30 years ago now. That makes me feel old. I don't know how that affects you. The two friends finish surveying the new day and set up the toboggan. It's a magical world, Hobbes' old buddy, Calvin says as they brace themselves and begin to hurtle down the snow-covered hillside. Let's go exploring. My friends, as we begin together the year ahead, may we, with awe and a great sense of the possibility before us, explore this fresh page of life together. I invite you now into a time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering, which sustains and strengthens our community. Our gifts from this and all of our holiday services provide a great deal of the funding that runs Just Dane's eviction prevention program. Sometimes the difference between a family being out on the street or staying in their home can be a little help with the rent. With your help, Just Dane and Joining Forces for Families are helping people to prevent eviction and homelessness. There are multiple ways to share your gifts this morning. Baskets are now being passed here in the auditorium for cash or checks. Or as you will see on the screen, you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, or find the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together. Thank you so much for that beautiful music. We gather each week, carrying with us all the joys, the losses, the celebrations, and sorrows of our days. We bring them here knowing they are held in love and in support. We light a candle of ongoing lament for the violence which plagues our world, for the tragic loss of human life and those lives imperiled or diminished by armed conflict and the grinding of armored nation against civilian bodies. We grieve with particular attention to the suffering of innocents in Ukraine, Armenia, Gaza, Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Together we yearn for a world in which all people should have the right and the means to live and live free. And we light a candle for all those joys and sorrows, hopes and dreams that remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. I invite you now to turn with me both inward and outward as we enter together into an attitude of meditation and of prayer with these words from Susan Souchaki. Day by day, month by month, year by year, we are confronted with all that we do not know, that we do not understand, that we do not grasp. Sometimes we are humbled by this knowledge and say, God, it is too wonderful for me to comprehend, but I know this universe is more grand and more beautiful than I ever could have imagined. And I give thanks for the blessing of being here and seeing, hearing, experiencing, and sensing all that is so wonderful around and in me. Sometimes we are saddened by this knowledge and say, O merciful Spirit, we need to have the burden of hurt and suffering removed from us. Grant us the courage, the wisdom, and fortitude to bear the pain of living. Send us those who will carry our burdens for a short while, and send us those who will comfort us with their healing words and thoughts. Sometimes we are angered by this knowledge and say, in the name of justice and compassion, if it be in our power, give us the strength and ability to right the wrongs. For we do not, nor does any person in the world, deserve this. Sometimes we are made joyous by this knowledge, and we say, Spirit of life, who blesses our world, we rejoice and cheer for our glorious life. Sometimes we are made curious by this knowledge and say, holy and inexplicable is this life. I have no idea what happened or how it happened, but somehow, some way, something changed, and I am free to explore new ways of being. Please always let me continue to search for the unknown in myself and others. Amen, and blessed be.
Spirit to sing together our closing hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Keep with forever.
universe is so much larger than our ability to comprehend. Let us go forth from this time together with the resolve to stop trying to reduce the incomprehensible to our own petty expectations, so that wonder, that sense of what is sacred, can find space to open up our minds and illumine our lives. Blessed be. Go in peace, and please be at rest for the postlude.